Hey, Steve Magnante here at High-Octane Classics in Auburn, Massachusetts with a 1991 Camaro RS. You might wonder, what is an RS? Well, rally sport, like back in the 1960s, was an indicator of the sporty but not muscular Camaro line. If you didn't want to pay the money for the hot rod engine, buy yourself a Camaro RS. Now, for 1991, there were no big 350s or even the 305 tune port. These were strictly central fuel-injected, two Venturi throttle body fuel injected V8s, 5 liters, or V6s, and either one of those things was possible in these things. It was just sort of a way to get around the insurance surcharge that would have come with the Z28 or a more sporty Camaro, but yet you have most of the looks. In fact, the body kit on these things here, down the silk plates here, and the chin spoiler, those are straight off the Z28 parts list. With that said, the hood is a standard flat hood off a Camaro Sport Coupe. The Z28's novel, in sort of a NACA duct looking hood was not part of the RS package, but this does have the 16-inch Z28 style wheels, which gives it a good look from down the street, and also gives better performance with a wider stance. And of course, production on these things was about 80% were automatics. The rest were stick shifts. We'll get to that in a second. And of course, the V8 take rate was 12,452 versus 79,854 V6s in the RS family. So it's a special example right here, 75,000 original miles, nicely preserved. And let's take a look inside and see which transmission we have. And I think we know the answer. Inside, I'm happy to see that whoever bought this new was an enthusiast of sporty driving, has the 5-speed manual transmission, not the automatic, and again, about 20% of the Camaro RSs were built with the manual transmission, 80% were automatics, go figure. We do see an aftermarket Hurst shifter. It's accompanied by the original black cue ball type shift ball, which comes with the car. We put that in the console for safekeeping or for future use. And again, very sporty inside. Now the speedometers on these go to 110, much lower than a Z28, and the tachometer on this goes to 5,000 RPM, which tells us this has the mild 305 central fuel-injected engine under the hood. And of course, like all Camaros, pretty much every single one, these are 4-seat cars because the back seat is not very comfortable. You don't really want to spend any time sitting on the drive shaft tunnel of one of these things. The seats are cushy, but in the middle, you do not want to sit on it. It's not cushioned at all. So these are strictly 4-seat cars, no bench seats in Camaros at this point in time, strictly bucket seats. But one thing these do have is commodious. Mike Joy, I'm going to send you $1 later on today for my use of the word commodious. But inside of the hatchback, a lot of room for all kinds of cool things, and we'll explore that right now. Of course, the RS also came with the Z28 style trunk spoiler. The later RSs actually had a taller, and the Z28s had a taller bi-wing kind of a thing. But for 1991, this is your RS standard fare trunk spoiler, which is somewhat effective. It adds a lot of sport to these things. Let's open that trunk and see what we can find, or the hatch. And here we go. Put the key in the slot, turn the key, and open sesame. And there it is. Okay, lots of room inside of here for almost anything you want. Put, groceries, luggage for a weekend trip, no problem at all. And these are the bags for the optional sunroof, the removable T-top. And that would have been $866 for the removable glass panels on the roof of these cars, the T-top, if you will. But here we have something pretty cool. This is the SPID. A lot of folks don't realize that inside of this compartment here in the trunk, or the cargo area, that's the SPID. Service parts identification, decal, SPID, SPID, and there it is. And on here you see C60 air conditioning. C49, that would be the CC1, that would have been the glass hatches, and all the data, that's the DNA of the car right there, hiding in every second generation or third generation F-body right there inside the trunk. A lot of people don't even know it's there, but it is right there. And again, these have drum brakes on the back, unlike the Z28, disc brakes up front. But again, speaking of brakes, we can see right here the Z28 style lower rockers. These panels here are functional. This vent goes through and directs air toward the brakes, front and rear, so it's functional to a degree, and it's directly off of the Z28, so it gives you the look of a Z28 without the insurance surcharge of a Z28. So getting back to Z28s, look under the hood on this one. Let's take a peek and see what we find. It's going to be a Z28 engine. The answer is no, but which engine is it? Let's pop the hood and find out. Well, the base engine in the Rally Sport RS was a V6 3.1 liters, and then before that, the 2.8 liter V6, nearer 60-degree motors. This one has the V8, and let's have a look at which one it is. Don't expect to find a tune port 305 or 350. These are strictly, sort of modest performance engines, as indicated by the 5,000 RPM tach we saw inside. And there it is. This is the 170 horsepower throttle body 305 or 5 liters if you're a metric enthusiast. But again, well preserved and very stock under the hood. Something we see here is kind of shocking. That's an aluminum intake manifold right there. That was a factory stock item. It's not a hot rod piece. And the idea was that it was lighter, and that was all about reducing vehicle weight to make the cafe fuel economy, and of course improve handling versus an iron one. But underneath this round air cleaner right here is a 2 Venturi throttle body. It's computer controlled, but again, no 4 barrels here. And the tune port motor was not available in the RS. So it would have been a nice option, but they never did it. But again, this is the 305 170 horsepower engine, and backed up by a 5-speed manual. Pretty rare. Again, 20% of all RS customers took the bait and went with the stick shift. 80% went with the automatic. One seldom recognized detail about the RS is that these were initially offered in some states, California and down south, in 1987 and 1988 as a regional package. They went mainstream in 1989 through 1992 and were available 50 states. So again, the first couple of years, these are regional vehicles, but after that, the RS became a legend on the road. Not really a high performance car, but very sporty, good suspension, almost Z28 capabilities. And again, the disc brakes up front, the big Z28 style wheels, so it gave you the look of a Z28 without the expense. These are about $2,500 less expensive than a base Z28, so you save some money on the RS. And of course, the V8 would be a little bit extra. And back in the early 1980s, there was a 4-cylinder engine that was possible in the base Camaro Sport Coupe. Imagine that, a 4-cylinder engine in a Camaro. And they have them now, the turbo motors, but that was back in the Stone Age days of the Iron Duke pushrod 4-banger. So some people bought those as a base, sort of a base car with the minimal payment. But again, 2.5 liters with that 4-banger must have been slower than heck. So this is a great example of the RS, 75,000 original miles, very well preserved, very stock under the hood and elsewhere. To learn more about this car, go to the High-Octane Classics website and look at the pictures.
Little drive time 90s style with Danny. We are in a 1991 Chevrolet Camaro RS 305 with a 5-speed T-tops. Very original car. It's pretty cool that this thing has survived without being completely modded out over the years. Everything works in it just as it should. Shifts really smooth. Nice little 5-speed in it. Good highway cruiser. All the gauges are working perfectly. Brakes are on point. Drives straight and nice. Beautiful little car. Take it around some of the back roads and run it through its gears and see how it's doing. It's got shiny paint. It's clean. The paint is a little bit on the thin side from being waxed and buffed and being black, and it's not perfect, but I'll tell you, it's just, you can tell the car's been really well loved all its life. Clutch is perfect. Shifts like butter. Direction is working fine. No crazy noises in it. Kicked a little sideways there. Great suspension on this car. We just took a really nasty little loop there that really dug up. It's going to be worse right here. Well, for T-top cars, no rattles and squeaks in her. She just drives extremely well. Not a lick of rust on this car. Crazy new intersection here. We'll put it through our little paces. There's something inside the glove box here. It's making some noise. That would be the wheel key. All right, let's see how she does. Hold on there, Shane, my co-pilot. Wow. This is the fun we had in the 90s. We didn't have the 800 horsepower monsters of today, but you know, those cars are a little bit undrivable. Where these things you can have a lot of fun and not kill yourself and not get arrested for going 200 miles an hour in third gear. So there's something to be said about these little cars. These little Firebirds and Camaros are just so nimble and agile. They're just fun to drive in the back roads and just cruise around. Take the T-tops out of it and go to the beach. Shift's amazing. Really tight. This is a nice car. Driving no hands. This thing is just beautiful. Temperature's on point, voltage is fine, oil pressure way up to the tops of the scale. Yeah, she's a nice little toy. And back home we go.